Let me ask you something. When did comfortable become the end game? At what point did we decide that our life goal was to take it easy, retire, and get as comfortable as we possibly could? And how did it happen that once we got there, it became one of the most dangerous places in our adult life? Today, we're talking about the deadly habit of being comfortable. This is the Karen Schaal podcast. I'm Karen Schaal. Let's get started. In this episode, I'm going to show you why staying in your comfort zone can quietly become a dangerous habit, and why discomfort may not be the problem we think it is. Because at some point, we have to honestly ask ourselves, how is comfort actually working for us? We are living in one of the most comfortable times in human history. In Western society, our homes are climate controlled, food and entertainment are available on demand, and many of us have worked our entire lives to get here, to finally have some breathing room. And yet, something isn't lining up. Anxiety is increasing, minor stressors feel overwhelming, and we seem not to be as resilient as we used to be. So what's happening? Here's the paradox. The more comfort we build into our lives, the less capable we become of handling discomfort. Over time, we get used to being comfortable, we get soft, and our capacity begins to shrink. It's that what you don't use, you lose kind of thing. Because without some level of discomfort, there's no real adaptation, no growth. We stagnate, and with stagnation comes decline. Now, we could say that this is, of course, a natural part of aging. But this isn't just about aging. We don't lose capacity simply because we're getting older. We lose capacity because we stop challenging ourselves, because we get used to comfort. And as much as we might wish otherwise, come on, we all like to be comfortable, right? The human system was never designed for continuous comfort. Our minds and bodies were not designed for this high level of ease that we are experiencing in the Western society. We were designed to adapt, to stretch our limits, to grow stronger through challenge throughout our lifetime, and to ultimately grow into the fullness of who we were meant to be. Now, this tug and pull between comfort and discomfort is not a new topic in personal development, not at all. Seneca, for example, was a wealthy Stoic. He lived about 2,000 years ago, wrote extensively about the effects of comfort and discomfort, and he intentionally lived with less. He'd restrict his diet, modify his clothing, and eliminate all luxury. He wanted to make sure that if his life changed suddenly, he would be prepared. He understood the enticing effect of comfort and the lessons that discomfort provided. For the Stoics, voluntary discomfort wasn't punishment. It was a kind of psychological weight training. They stepped into manageable challenges on purpose so they wouldn't collapse when real hardship came. They knew that if you only trained for comfort, you would not be prepared when hard times came. And here's where this shows up in our lives. For most of us, discomfort has become something we try to avoid. We see it as a problem, something to get away from as quickly as possible. But what if that's a mistake? You may have heard the phrase, embrace the suck. Not because suffering is the goal, but because avoiding discomfort often drains more energy than facing it. We see the same principle in modern high-performance environments. I experienced this firsthand in the Army. Mandatory boot camp is pretty much structured discomfort, sleep restriction, physical exhaustion. They wanted us to learn how to respond appropriately to build resilience. This gradual exposure to stress teaches your system to respond rather than panic. If you only live in comfort, the first real pressure you face can feel overwhelming. Your system hasn't practiced adapting. Athletes understand this. They don't train at comfortable levels. They push beyond them deliberately. Entrepreneurs live in that same tension. Rejection and uncertainty aren't side effects, they're part of the process. The goal here isn't to eliminate stress, it's to increase our capacity to handle it. There's extensive research in modern psychology and neuroscience on the consequences of comfort. When we live in too much comfort, something happens. Our tolerance narrows, we become less practiced at handling challenges. Small stressors feel bigger than they are, and over time, we can begin mistaking ease for well being. But they're not the same. There's a psychological term called stress inoculation. And what stress inoculation means is that manageable stress in healthy doses strengthens our ability to cope. Basically, what you practice handling in your daily life, you get better at. Makes sense, right? And if you avoid challenges, this capacity to handle things weakens. We become more sensitive, frail. I hear a lot of people say, oh, now that I'm older, I can't handle things as much as I did when I was young. Well, why is that? A lot of it is because these people are avoiding stress. They've gotten into a comfort zone. So when these little stressors come into their life that they used to handle quite easily, it's more challenging. And this is not the way we're designed to live. The human brain is often referred to as the most complex system in the known universe. We are designed to handle stress. We can withstand discomfort. These are basic abilities that are built into our brains. But if we close ourselves off from a large portion of life because it is uncomfortable, then we are going to pay the price. We know from aging and exercise research that what we do not use, we tend to lose. Muscles atrophy, balance declines. Even confidence and movement can shrink when we stop challenging the body. Research on aging and physical activity repeatedly demonstrates that regular challenge helps preserve strength, mobility, and independence well into later life. The same is true cognitively. Studies on neuroplasticity and cognitive aging suggest that novelty, learning, and challenge help support brain function over time, while understimulation can contribute to a decline in flexibility and responsiveness. And maybe less talked about is how comfort can curtail our desire for healthy risk taking and diminish our appetite for adventure. Our lives become slowly smaller and opportunity fades. I think this may be one of the greatest dangers of chronic comfort. Not that it ruins us all at once, because it won't, but it slowly reduces us. And I think that's what makes comfort left unquestioned such a subtle hazard. So now the question is, how do you begin to train yourself to handle discomfort without turning your life upside down? Start small, because this is not about becoming an extreme. It's about becoming a little less ruled by comfort. Sometimes discomfort training looks much simpler than we can even imagine it. It may be trying something unfamiliar, having a conversation you've been avoiding, taking the walk when the couch sounds so much better. Small acts of chosen discomfort can build real capacity. And I've seen this in my own life. One of the intentional stressors I've chosen not to avoid is cold water. Whether it's an ice bath or an invitation for a lake or cold ocean swim, I rarely say no. And part of the reason is practical. I live near a cold ocean. The Pacific Ocean where I live is cold. I have grandchildren who always want me in the water with them. And to be honest, I want to stay active with my family for as long as I can. So even when that includes the discomfort of cold water. So for me, stepping into cold water has become a small practice in stepping into discomfort. And because I've done it repeatedly, I'm used to it. My body and mind know that they know that discomfort. They're familiar with it. They've adapted to it. And I also know this. If I begin saying no, it's not going to take long before I stop doing it altogether. That's how these things work. What we practice, we keep. What we avoid, we can lose. Now, granted, many of you will never embrace the cold water idea. I get that. Sometimes it's simply being willing to step outside your routine a bit. I was picking up Chinese food the other day, and while I was waiting, they had karaoke going on. And I thought to myself, why not shake things up a bit? It had been ages. It's been a very long time since I've sung karaoke. And I could immediately feel the hesitation, and I immediately felt the discomfort. But I made an intentional decision to go ahead and do it, step outside the comfort zone. And so I did. And when it was over, I was pleasantly surprised. I felt oddly accomplished, not because of anything that I did as far as my performance, but because I had chosen to do something that made me a little uncomfortable. I disrupted the routine. I took a risk. I stepped into something playful and unfamiliar, and honestly, it felt really good. Felt better after than before. But that's part of this too. Discomfort isn't always hardship. It's not always about suffering. Sometimes it's simply saying yes to a little diversion, like singing karaoke. Maybe your discomfort practice will be physical. Maybe it's emotional. Maybe it's finally doing something you've been postponing for months. The point is not intensity. The point is intentionality. Choose one small thing that stretches you. Practice staying with a little discomfort instead of immediately escaping it. Because every time you do, you teach yourself something important. You teach yourself, I can handle this. And that begins to shape identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who avoids challenge. And that changes more than behavior. It changes how you live. And maybe stepping beyond comfort is not really so much about hardship as much as it's about refusing to let life get smaller. It's more about choosing to remain curious, courageous, and fully engaged in your life, no matter how that looks. And this is a point where you simply need to be honest about what you're doing and what you truly want your life to be like. Because every time you choose challenge over stagnation, effort over ease, movement over avoidance, you strengthen your capacity for life. And that is what this is really about. Not proving toughness or chasing hardship, getting in the ice water, but refusing to let comfort quietly decide your future. We are all too wondrous of a creation to not try to fully experience our brilliance and to not grow into the extraordinary fullness of who we were meant to be. My friends, I so appreciate your presence here. Thank you. I hope this topic has brought you to some serious thinking about how comfort is working in your life. Ask yourself the tough questions. And if you found this information helpful, please like and subscribe if you can. And if someone came to mind while listening, share this episode with them. Sometimes we all need a reminder of what we're capable of. Thanks for being here, everybody. Again, this is a Karen Schaal podcast. I'm Karen Schaal. See you next time. Bye-bye.